NASCAR will not do anything to prevent driver celebrations. Dale Earnhardt Jr. says there should only be 2 road courses on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. And Teresa Earnhardt's quest to rezone Dale Earnhardt's farming property hit a snag. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. I've seen and heard a lot of preposterous things over the years. Things where I'm like, I cannot believe that happened there. The PVC NASCAR celebration device, we'll talk about that in a minute. Ridiculous. Never should have happened. I did witness one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen, though. On Monday, I went to the Cincinnati Reds game. They were playing the Philadelphia Phillies. They ended up losing. Bullpen did not pull through in the situation. Snoop Dogg was the post-game concert, and I decided to hang around for that down on the field. And as I was leaving, I saw something that I've never seen before. Somebody left their loved one's ashes on the infield dirt at the Reds ballpark. And I don't mean took a pinch out, sprinkled it down. I mean, they took the urn, dumped it, all of it, right there on the infield dirt. A preposterous move. Something I was just flabbergasted by when I saw it. And I've thought about it every day since. It is only Wednesday, but it doesn't matter. I've still thought about it every day since. Yeah, do whatever you want, I guess, but man, that seems like a weird move to do. Maybe, hey, Snoop Dogg gets you feeling some kind of way. Maybe they're just big Snoop fans. Maybe they're big Reds fans, and maybe that'll turn the Reds season around. Regardless, kind of crazy. Now, let's get into what we want to talk about, and we're going to start off with NASCAR will not prevent or deter drivers from celebrating after they win. Obviously, this past weekend, Connor Zilisch, he celebrated, fell off his race car, and broke his collarbone. Not an ideal situation there. There were some rumors floating around the internet that NASCAR told drivers they weren't allowed to stand on the car anymore, and that they were going to ban it moving forward. You had Tommy Baldwin trying to allude to that on Door Bumper Clear on Tuesday, this week's episode, whatever, and he's like, I think there's going to be a new rule on Tuesday about this, blah, 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 and Connor was like, really? And yeah, NASCAR clarified on their podcast, Holler Talk podcast, Mike Ford from NASCAR said that the sanctioning body has no plans to ban, prevent, deter, or curb anybody's driver celebrations. He said the only thing they might do is just make a recommendation to put the window net to the inside of the race car, like into the cockpit, and have it drape over the door there versus rather hang out like we saw with Connor's. And even Connor thinks that maybe played a factor into his slip and fall. But ultimately, NASCAR has no plans to deter drivers from celebrating, contrary to what some people want to think. And it's one of those things where they're like, oh, NASCAR is going to ban it because it's fun. NASCAR is always reactionary in these ways. And people just think that NASCAR just doesn't want to have fun sometimes. I think NASCAR is smart enough to realize that this was a one-time incident. We haven't seen anything like this happen other than Connor. So I think it's going to be okay moving forward. But regardless, it's not out of the realm of possibilities that they could ban it because, of course, back in 2001, NASCAR did introduce the PVC guard to put up and over the car. So basically, as you can see from the video right here that NASCAR man tweeted out, the driver would climb out of the car and the officials would put this PVC barrier there so they wouldn't be allowed to stand on top of the car because NASCAR didn't want the driver standing on the roof because then they wouldn't be able to tech it afterwards. It lasted a total of 3 races. Sterling Marlin, Ricky Craven, and Jeff Gordon all got to experience it, and then NASCAR got rid of it because it looked absolutely preposterous and ridiculous. So yeah, they're not going to limit what drivers can do. Obviously, we saw Shane Van Gisbergen get out of his car in victory lane and just step onto the ground. A little bit safer there. That could have been a Trackhouse thing to be like, hey, yeah, maybe we just take it easy right now. Although Shane did break his collarbone and race, I believe, the week after that as well. So he is built differently in some situations. Connor, thankfully, did get surgery, does have the week off. The Xfinity Series off this week, and they're not racing at Richmond. Oh my. No, we're fine. Duh. But regardless, yeah, they're not going to ban it. It's going to be perfectly fine going forward. Dale Earnhardt Jr. believes that there should only be 2 road course races on the NASCAR Cup Series calendar, that being Watkins Glen and Sonoma. You know, how it always was for a number of years. It's a traditionalist view on what the NASCAR Cup Series schedule should look like, and I could not disagree with that more. I know I'm probably it's probably an unpopular opinion here, and he doesn't want them to be reduced down to 2 because Shane Van Gisbergen is dog walking the entire field. He just wants it because that's the way it was for a number of years. And I get it. I can understand that sentiment for sure. But I think one of the great things about the NASCAR Cup Series schedule as it currently stands is the diversity of the schedule. I know that might be a dangerous word at times, but I do think that its schedule schedule is very much diversified. You got 6 different super speedway races. You've got 6 road course races. You've got like 6 or 7 different short track races. You've got a handful of intermediate races. You've got Indianapolis, Pocono, Michigan. You've got a bunch of different versions of ovals, of road courses, and I think it's highly entertaining. No, they don't need to go back to dirt. Stock cars don't belong on dirt. I think the schedule they have right now is actually very good. I think the problem with road course this year is a number of NASCAR fans got fatigued out on them. Basically, they've seen it too many times, too quickly, and their interest waned very quickly. Throw in the fact that this car just doesn't put on very good road course races, and people want to tune out really, really quickly. I mean, this past weekend's race at Watkins Glen only got 1.85 million viewers, and last year's race went up against the NFL during regular season, because remember, this race was in the playoffs last year, and it got 1.81 million viewers. So yeah, not a really good improvement considering it did not have NFL regular season to go head-to-head against. And yeah, it might be because some fans are fatigued out. Basically, from July 15th to August 10th, you've had 4 road course races. You've had Mexico City, you've had Chicago, you had Sonoma, and then Watkins Glen. So a month's worth of road course races in under a 2-month period. I get it if some people want to fatigue out on that. Ultimately, I think if the road course races were spaced out a little bit more evenly across the schedule, people wouldn't really complain that much about it. But when you go back to back and you have 4 within, 7 weeks or so, people are going to get annoyed about it. And I can understand that ultimately. But I do think that the schedule does deserve to have a number of different road course races in there. I can't remember if I said June 15th or July 15th a minute ago when I was talking about that. I meant June 15th. I didn't say that. That was the Mexico City race. And then all the way to August 10th, just under a 2-month period. All right, got that, cleared that up, got it out of the way here. But ultimately, I do think that you need to have multiple road course races. Going down to 2 is just too few. What's the point of having them? Just get rid of them. But then if you're going to do 2, you might as well do 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6. I still think that 6 is the perfect number. 6 out of 36 races is not that many. Oh my God, half the schedule is made up of road course races now. Well, it's a 6th of the schedule. So it's not half of the schedule. I think that that's an even number. Obviously, last year, or going into next year, we're losing a road course race. Mexico's off the calendar. Chicagoland's coming back on the calendar. So they are getting rid of 1. And maybe that will allow them to space those 5 races out a little bit more evenly throughout the schedule. We'll see how all of that plays out there. Obviously, we know on Father's Day weekend, you will have one of those races out in San Diego on the Air Force Base out at Coronado. Yeah, that we know that one's going to be there. We can kind of assume Watkins Glen's going to be around its same sort of August date as well. Sonoma, will it move its date around at all? People clamoring for a green Sonoma. We'll see. COTA typically is going to be around one of the first few races of the year now, just because the chances of it being warmer in Austin are much greater than it being warmer most places NASCAR goes these days. So I think there's kind of a bit of a trade-off for the schedule makers out there. But ultimately, I think that you need to have road course races on the schedule. If you take away too many of them, and I get it, well, this was an oval series, a predominant oval series. NASCAR's been turned right and left for, the better part of 75 years at this point. Road course racing's always been in NASCAR's DNA. Now it just happens to be a little bit more the DNA, and everybody's freaking out here a little bit. I still think that, we need to go to multiple, more than 2 every single year. And I'm a NASCAR purist, a NASCAR traditionalist for sure. But even I'm willing to admit that road course racing deserves to have a spot on the calendar. And if you're going to get rid of it, like, where else are you going to go? Obviously, we're going back to Chicagoland next year. Give North Wilkesboro a points race. This car's kind of cheeks on short tracks, as we've seen. But okay, well, then we can go back to Rockingham. You're going to a really saturated market now. You're going to have 4 races plus an all-star race in the state of North Carolina. That's just not good business. I don't think people understand that half the time, that if you keep going to the same places in a pretty confined area, the interest wanes because, well, the supply is up, the demand is going to drop. It's typically how it goes here. And that's my biggest fear for that. And I'm not entirely sure this car is going to race super well at Rockingham. It could. I think there might be enough multiple lanes there for this car to race well, but it might be a little bit iffy. What, are you going to go back to Kentucky? No, absolutely not. The people of Warsaw, the people of Sparta don't even want to go back to Kentucky. The track is just not very good. Then you have all the fans that don't want to go to tracks for a second time. And it's like, all right, where do you want to go then? Because your options are super limited when it comes to different tracks to go to. Ultimately, I think NASCAR's got a good schedule here. If you want to do 5 road course races a year, fine. I think 6 is okay. I'm with most people. I don't want to do more than 6, more than likely. Unless this car starts to race a little bit better on it. But right now, this car seemingly doesn't race very well most places outside of intermediates. So, yeah, I think we got to take what we can get here. And I don't think getting rid of them is necessarily the right answer. It's like when we put PJ1 on all the intermediates and stuff to try to get people to race up there. This isn't a track problem. This is a car problem, ultimately, what it comes down to. Sticking with the Earnhardt theme here, Teresa Earnhardt's quest to have Dale Earnhardt's old 400-acre farming property in Mooresville, North Carolina, rezoned for industrial has hit another snag because Mooresville Mayor Chris Carney said that if it does in fact go up for a vote in September, he, along with the town's commissioners, will deny it, mainly because they don't know what tech company wants to take over this $30 billion data center that Teresa Earnhardt wants to build. Ultimately, she should just dub it the Intimidator data center. As somebody on Reddit pointed that out, and branding's everything, and maybe that would convince more people. But what these people really don't want is a data center in their rural community for a number of reasons here. Now, the mayor, along with the commissioners, said they went out and looked at a couple of different tech company data centers, whether that be Google, Facebook, or whoever else. Amazon, I believe, is the other one that they listed there. And they said that they all do them a little bit differently, but they all do them very well. And ultimately, they want to know who the developer Tract is going to put in this, or who they're going to lease this to. Tract builds them, and then they lease out these data centers to various tech companies. They want to know who that tech company is going to be, and they haven't received an answer up to this point. Their other big concern is the strain on the infrastructure that this data center will do. It's obviously, you can see from the picture right here, it's a big data center. And one thing about data centers is they use a ton of water, up to 5 million gallons of water a day. And we've seen in some Texas communities where they have data centers built nearby, they're being told to take shorter showers because they need that water for the data centers. An absolutely insane thing to say. What are we living in, banana land? No, you take as long a shower as you want. You're paying for the water. Who cares what the data center needs down the street? So the mayor's other big concern about that is if they do run these increased water lines to this data center, that then opens up the surrounding area for more residential homes to be built. Again, something that people don't want there. And he's willing to listen to what his constituents have to say, his citizens. That's a sign of a good mayor. At least he's listening. At least he's fighting for some of these people. Now, this could take a turn, but for right now, it is a win for the citizens of Mooresville, the people of that area, Carrie Earnhardt, stuff like that. If they find out who this tech company is and they're fine with it, do they just go ahead and approve it? I don't know. That remains up in the air. But I don't think that we've heard the last of Teresa Earnhardt in this situation yet. I assume they're going to keep fighting to do this. I mean, after all, it is a $30 billion data center, and they really want to build it specifically on that plot of land, which is certainly something. So let me know in the comments what you think about NASCAR allowing drivers to keep celebrating. Do we need just 2 road course races on the schedule? Do we need more? And Teresa Earnhardt hits another snag, once again in her quest to sell, develop, rezone this former Dale Earnhardt farm in Mooresville. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok @BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook @BreakHardBlog.